Hello again, and welcome to the Weekly Huddle podcast. I am Christian, and I am here with your Week 5 USFL Power Rankings, and we're going to get right into it. We're going to start off with number 8, the Stars. And I want to get into this right away. I want to waste no time, get right into the rankings, because the Stars, man. Cookus gave me so much hope, and now all of it is depleted. It's all gone. As far as stats go, Cookus himself didn't really have like an awful game. He went 24 for 36 for 189 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Wasn't great by any means, a QBR of 77.2. On the rushing side of the ball, absolutely nothing. Coburn did have that one touchdown, but he only had 6 attempts for 16 yards. On the receiving end, it was Gray, and that was it. Williams did have that touchdown, but in terms of the yardage and production goes, it was really Gray and then and a little bit of Coleman and Sewell, but besides that, nothing really going on there. In terms of the defense, you had 1 sack, you had 3 tackles for loss, and you had 2 passes defended, so not ideal. And then as far as punt returns go, nothing crazy. Same thing with kick returns. Kicking, you had Aguilar that went 1 for 1 for both extra point and field goal, and punting, same thing, nothing special. 7 punts on the day, which I think is notable. Now, getting into it, this first off, this secondary just needs to do better, period. You can't give up like 3rd and 17s with like 5 guys surrounding a wide receiver. You can't. A 3rd and 17? Really? I mean, all game was really a problem for this secondary, especially as the game continued on and they just kept on getting more worn down by the gamblers. Having the most sacked QB in the league is kind of crazy. This O-line has to step up in some way. Easily the worst O-line in the league. I mentioned Cookus at the beginning, and I don't want to make it seem like this is like, Cookus's ship and he's the reason that we're sailing down and not forward, because the amount of pressure that's getting through this O-line and just terrorizing Cookus game after game, it's like he can't even do anything. They can't play fourth quarters, as in this Stars team. They need to be able to play a full 4 quarters of football, because the first quarter and second quarter a little bit, like they were in it. The Gamblers didn't really run away with it until really the second half. They can't tackle. So many arm tackles, so many whiffed tackles that could have been so much better. A lot of like the fundamentals and the basics of this team need to get honed in on. And on the offense, for playmaking, all you have is Gray. You need more to be produced with this offense if you're going to want to find any success, which again I think is an all-around effort for this team to try to do. I think if this team wants to be successful, there just needs to be improvement as a whole. Every single department is going to need to step up in some way, shape, or form to try to make this team better, because right now they're last for me. They're bottom of the barrel. I can see any team in the league taking this team on and winning with relative ease at this point. Now, with that, we're going to move on to our ranked number 7 team, which is the Showboats, getting their first win of the season. The Showboats ended up beating the Michigan Panthers 29-10. In the passing game, Kelly was 15 for 26 for 151 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. On the rushing side of the ball, White had 15 attempts for 54 yards. Kelly had 6 attempts for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the receiving end, Papale had 3 catches for 58 yards, and that was really about it. No one really stepped up and stepped out in the receiving game. As far as defense, the team had 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and 5 passes defended. Besides that, nothing else super noteworthy, although Kessman did go 3 for 3. In field goals and was 2 for 3 in extra points, scoring 11 of their total 29 points for the game, and all the other points were scored by Kelly. Of course, that is besides the defensive touchdown, but we'll get into that later. To start off, they started off very strong. They had a really good opening return and then 2 50-plus yard field goals back to back to give them a solid starting point. especially in a league where the special teams isn't necessarily the greatest in the world. You saw a lot of ups and downs with special teams, especially kicking. So to come out and get 2 50-plus yard field goals off rip, great for them. Kelly with the real Philly special, the QB sneak, getting it done. I was either that or it was just that run up the middle to score the other touchdown. As far as points and the offense goes, it was just the Kelly show. But it wasn't even the Kelly show for like crazy passing stats, because he didn't do anything crazy in the passing game. It was just him on the ground and them being able to piece together drives enough to get down and score in some capacity. They had good plays on defense, but I would like a little bit more from the line. And besides that, McCulloch did his thing, doing it by himself, getting the tutty. Crazy. This team doesn't. I'm not have too much hope yet, just by the fashion by which they won. They didn't really show up or show out by any means. It wasn't like a pretty or a statement win, but it was a win nonetheless, and it was a win that they needed. So therefore, bumping them up to spot number 7. I'm looking forward to seeing if they can continue moving forward in the ranks, but as of right now, I think I can chill with the number 7 spot. And from here, we can stick right on to this game still, because our next team is going to be the Michigan Panthers, who lost to the Showboats 10-29, as we know. As far as the stats go for this team, Strong went 9 for 12 for 76 yards and an interception. Love went 10 for 15 for 58 yards, a touchdown and an interception. On the rushing side, Scott and Corbin, the duo that had 12 attempts for Scott for 66 yards and 14 attempts for Corbin for 53 yards. In terms of receiving, it was Walker, and that was quite literally it. Walker had 7 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. In terms of defense, you had 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 pass defended, so really nothing going on the defensive side of the ball. Murphy scored both of his 2 kicks, the field goal and the extra point. Nothing crazy in the return game, nothing crazy in the punting game. This Panthers team felt like they didn't even want to really win. Love wasn't even feeling the defense on some of those interceptions, especially that one where he threw it right to the linebacker. The linebacker was just hawking right in his zone, stepped over a little bit, perfect, made the play. Love didn't even feel him. I don't hate the O-line play. It wasn't the worst that it's ever been. But that didn't matter when your QBs are, just chucking picks. And they just did not care about ball security at all. All of the times that they were just losing the ball or making mistakes, losing fumbles, like it was just a bad showing. It was, and I should technically feel justified to put the Panthers below the Showboats. Judging by this performance and by the simple fact that the Showboats won, I really should put the Panthers below the Showboats, but I'm willing to chalk this up as an off week and to say, okay, listen, we're going to come back next week and then we're going to show me why this team is 2-2 and the Showboats are 1-3. I'm going purely based off of the fact that in weeks past, we've seen that this is a Panthers team that can get it done, whereas for the Showboats, this is the first time that we've really seen any success. So I'm going to keep it here for now, but there's like a big old asterisk on it. Like I'm 2 seconds away from dumping those Panthers down to the next spot, down to 7, and moving those Showboats up to 6. But for now, we'll give the benefit of the doubt. I'll say, listen, this was an off week. Showed up to the office and, you didn't get any work done, but that's fine. Go home, get some rest. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll, file those papers so well. Office won't even know what hit it, right? At least I'm hoping, because if the Panthers have more showings like this in the future, I have little to no faith in their ability to go and make any type of playoff run, let alone championship run. With that being said, we can move on over to our number 5 spot, which is going to be the Maulers. Now, this week, the Maulers ended up losing to the Stallions 20-24. For quarterbacks, Williams went 21 for 33, 217 yards, QBR of 82.5. Rushing, Williams, top rusher as well, 7 attempts for 63 yards and a touchdown, had an average of 9.0. On the receiving end, nothing too much sticking out. Gaither had 6 catches for 69 yards. Henne had 4 catches for 43 yards. Walker 3 for 41. And that was pretty much it. Some other guys had some catches, 4 receptions from Simmons, but besides that, nothing crazy. On the defensive side of the ball, they had 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. They had 2 interceptions and 4 passes defended. Fantastic job on the kicking game by Blewett. Blewett with 4 field goals. Carried the team with his 12 points. On the kick returns, Simmons did all right. On the punting game, Mengel again did all right. Average of 45, which is pretty good. 1 pinned inside the 20, a long of 52. And that's about it for the stats. Now, when we get into the notes that I have for this team, I really don't have too much to say. I just really like this showing. I enjoyed the fact that they were able to stay with it with the Stallions, who is a top team in this league. I mean, losing 24-20 is nothing to shake your head at when facing the second best team in the league. So I'll take it. And they were in it the whole game too. Like, they kept it competitive the entire time. I would like to see them finish drives. I think that's my biggest concern with the Maulers, is the fact that they're able to get down the field and they're able to put themselves into field goal positioning through any stage of the game, really. But they were only able to finish 1 time in the 4th quarter, and that was it. That was the only touchdown they got. Every other time either resulted in a field goal or a punt. So I need this team to be able to finish drives, finish in the red zone, score touchdowns. They just need to score. If they had 1 more touchdown on the day, just convert 1 of those field goals to touchdown, we might be seeing a different scoreboard here. We might be seeing a completely different turnout of this game. As far as the start of this game, the Maulers had a fantastic start. The defense was making plays. The offense was, again, not amazing, but they were getting into field goal range and they were doing what they had to do to put themselves in a position to at least score. So I'll take that. And really, lastly, that diving catch by Walker was really cool. I just really liked that diving catch, and I want to see them make more plays like that. I want to see more plays like that catch from Walker, but just finish. Just work on finishing when you get marched down the field. Finish the drive. Score touchdowns, not field goals. That's all I need to see from this team. Once we start seeing that, then we can talk more about where this team needs to go from there to really be successful. But for now, just got to finish the drives. Now, next up on our list, getting into our top half of teams, at number 4 we have the Gamblers. The Gamblers showed up and showed out against the Stars. 41-16 win. The Gamblers are now 2-2. A team that started off as the number 8 ranked team has slowly increased every single week. They started off as number 8, last in the league, then bumped up to number 6, then number 5. Now they're at number 4, slowly making their incline, and I love to see it. As far as stats go, Bahar 15 for 21, 230 yards and 2 touchdowns, a QBR of 139. Wilson did come in when Bahar got injured, 2 for 3 for 21 yards and a fumble, but we'll talk about it later. Thompson had a great day, 13 attempts for 134 yards and 3 touchdowns. Some other guys also got rushing attempts, 9 rushing attempts for Wilson and 13 rushing attempts for Jones, but they didn't really get the same amount of production that Thompson was getting, although Wilson did have 49 yards for an average of 5.4, which is pretty solid. On the receiving end, everyone was kind of just putting in their part. Chisholm and Ratliff-Williams both had a touchdown each, and Peterson had 3 catches for 45 yards. Everyone kind of chipping in there. On the defense, they ended up having 6 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 4 passes defended. So a really good showing, especially for the defensive line. Had some troubles with fumbles, but only ended up losing 1. So take that. 3 fumbles on the day, but only lost 1. Kicking could have been better. 5 for 6 on extra points, but missed the only field goal attempt. Punting was pretty solid, average of 47, one pinned inside the 20, a long of 55. And now we can get into some of the notes I have for this Gamblers team. They have the playmakers. I'm telling you, I love the weapons that this team has. This is one of my favorite teams to watch just because of watching guys like Hall go out and make plays, Chisholm go out and make plays, Ratliff Williams, no matter who they're getting the ball to, somebody has the potential to really make a play. They did not allow any mistakes to shake them, which was very good. I was very pleased to see that. Also, Bahar didn't let the pressure affect him, especially there was one play in particular where I believe it was the left tackle who got bumped into Bahar, and that easily could have frazzled him, that easily could have blown up the play, as that tackle was blown up. The Stars defender, I believe it was either number 99 or 97, did a very good job of just bull rushing right to the QB. But Bahar stayed composed, he got outside the pocket, delivered a pass, and I believe it might have been for a touchdown. That might have been a touchdown pass. Either way, it was to keep the drive alive or to score for the drive, and it was a great play all around. Jones with the one-handed interception was crazy. That was a beautiful catch. Thompson, again, fantastic day. Loved to see it. 3 touchdowns on 134 yards. Wild. An average of 10.3. Other teams are really going to be looking at this, especially when going against the Stars. Especially the top teams. Again, as I said last week, all of the top teams have both a run and a pass game. If you have both, if you can do it on both sides of the ball, you are golden in this league, is what it seems so far. So all these other top teams are going to be looking at this Philadelphia Stars team and thinking, man, the Gamblers ran all over them. Why would we not? You know what I mean? The blocking was there, the execution was there. There was just, the Stars, I know this section isn't about the Stars, but they need to upgrade their run defense for sure. Well, defense period, but especially run defense. And lastly, in terms of the Gamblers, Wilson came in and continued as he needed to for Bahar's absence. He did get very, very lucky with that fumble, though. Should be more careful, especially when running for defenders to come and try to punch that ball out. But right place, right time, fumble resulted in a touchdown. Extremely lucky for Wilson. Next up on the power rankings, we have in our number 3 spot, the New Jersey Generals. Now, I know the Generals did technically lose this week, so you may be thinking number 3 is kind of crazy, but no, it is not. Because they lost 17-20 to the Breakers. So they lost against the best team in the league, and they did so putting up the best fight of any losing team thus far, period, I think. Of any game, I think this Generals team versus the Breakers, this was a extremely competitive, extremely physical. It was just a dog fight. The Generals brought their A game and they fought till the very end, and it was so entertaining to see. As far as stats, Johnson went 7 for 14, 113 yards and 1 touchdown. QBR of 101.2. On the rushing side, Williams, 8 attempts for 70 yards and a touchdown. Victor had 9 attempts for 64 yards. On the receiving end, all you had was Looper, who had 2 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. You had some guys in the negatives. Looking at the stat sheet, it's hilarious because you have Looper, Bowman, and Moore, who had 2, 1, and 2 catches each respectively. And Satterfield, 0 catches. Saxton, 0 catches. 2 targets and 1 target, respectively. And then you have Victor, 1 catch for -1 yard, and Williams, 1 catch for -3 yards. One of the strangest receiving stat lines that I've ever seen. Especially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 completed passes that were positive. Kind of insane to look at it like that. But once we move on to defense, we have 4 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 1 pass defended. Lots of fumbles going on. 4 fumbles, only 1 of them were lost, however. Kick return, nothing crazy. Punt return, nothing crazy. A long of 7. Skiba on the kicking side of the ball, 1 for 1 in field goals, 2 for 2 in extra points, did his thing. Punting, Miller also did his thing. 6 punts, 43.2 average, 4 pinned inside the 20, a long of 58. Now, as we move on to the notes for this Generals team. Unfortunate fumble by Victor. Victor is a guy that I love. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the league. So to see him with that fumble toward the beginning was a little unfortunate, but I mean, he had some good runs. I think it was the next drive he came in and just took his anger out on some poor cornerback or poor safety that was on the receiving end of one of his monster trucks. So didn't affect his play too much. Love to see him just barrel through people. That's my absolute favorite thing to watch. INT pick, fantastic. You don't see the Breakers getting picked off very often. So to get an interception like that and to, be able to cause turnovers, kind of a big deal. Some of those hits on defense were absolutely insane. Again, this was a physical game. They came in and they wanted to hit the Breakers. They wanted to hurt them, take some players out of the game. And I think the highlight for this team, which is the last real note that I have for the Generals, is that 62-yard TD. That was what they had. That was the one play that the Generals really had. Besides that, there was nothing too much going on, but again, this was a slugfest. This was two defenses who were making a lot of really good plays, a lot of good tackles, a lot of great football to be had, especially going up against a team that tends to tear up defenses and tends to be able to kind of just have their way, to be able to, force field goals, force punts. Only allowed, 2 touchdowns, which for this Breakers team is pretty good, only allowing 2 touchdowns. Forcing punts all throughout the game, didn't really let up no matter what stage of the game it was. Great to watch. I absolutely loved it, and I have a lot of faith in this Generals team after seeing their effort against the Breakers. I think a couple of plays and a couple of changes, especially getting more of a passing game going, if you do that, this game could shift. The tides can turn for this Generals team. Cards weren't in their favor this time. Breakers defense showed up just as much as the Generals did. Breakers team, period, showed up just as much as the Generals did. And they were just the better team, period, as they have been all season. But I'm very excited to continue to watch this Generals team move forward in the season. Now, moving on. Number 2 in our power rankings, we have the Stallions, of course. Going over stats really quickly, the Stallions, Magoo had 17 for 29, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. A QBR of 56.3, unfortunately. On the rushing side, all 3 guys had 10 attempts, Magoo, White, and Marable? I gotta look that up. All had 10 attempts, 48, 41, and 35 yards respectively, and Magoo had his touchdown. Receiving side of the ball, it was just Davis, 8 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Nobody else really did much receiving-wise. Just Davis. Defensive side of the ball, 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss, and 5 passes defended. Now, as for my notes for this team, they had a rough start. They didn't start the best in this game against this Maulers team. They usually do a good job of being able to come out strong and throughout all phases of the game just stay consistent and stay solid. This was not the case. They kind of had to fight from behind a little bit, and they had to battle back and forth with this Maulers team. A Maulers team that was 1-2 at the time. So wasn't the best look, and it was getting a little worrisome for this Stallions team, not gonna lie, a little bit. But they were able to overcome adversity, which is something that great teams should be able to do, and I'm very happy that the Stallions were able to do that. I don't know how Magoo stayed up on that 1 touchdown pass where he was evading every single D lineman ever. Spin moves, hops, jukes, everything. Just refused to go down. Super fun to watch. Magoo was a little rough at the beginning, I cannot lie. Throwing 2 interceptions isn't great, but to make up for it by making plays like that and being able to just stay in it and hold true to the game plan, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And finally, a return for the win. Kinda crazy. I'm here for it though. Win by any means necessary, and the Stallions can do that. Stallions can win no matter what. Doesn't matter on offense, doesn't matter on special teams. They'll score. They'll find a way. They will find a way. Speaking of find a way, our final and our number one team, we have the Breakers. Of course, New Orleans, 4-0, always doing their thing. Although they were given quite the challenge with this Generals team. Bethel Thompson went 26 for 37 for 279 yards, 1 interception, only his second of the year, I believe, 80.8 QBR. Rushing, Hills had 26 attempts for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receiving, Surratt had 6 receptions, 94 yards. Hills had 7 receptions, 71 yards. Anderson, 4 catches. Adams, 4 catches. Morris, 4 catches. Utilizing all of their receiving options as they normally do, with the tight end being their number one go-to guy. On defense, they had 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 3 passes defended. Did have 2 fumbles, both by Bethel Thompson, but none lost. 1 was recovered. Clark also had a forced fumble. On the kicking side of the ball, you had 2 for 2 in the field goal department and 2 for 2 in the extra point department. And going straight into notes, not too many for this team. You don't see picks often with them, but it was good again. With these good teams, you're seeing their ability to overcome adversity. Didn't let the pick shake them. They didn't have any passing touchdowns, but didn't matter. Doesn't really matter when you have one of the best running backs in the game and one of the best running games, period, in the game. Some of those hits on D, again, same thing as the Generals. They came out and they wanted to hurt people. It was an extremely physical bout. Both defenses were making plays. So fun. So I love defensive games. I love games that aren't necessarily a blowout. They're just, both teams slugging it out, making plays. So good. Loved this game. Run game will find success. It doesn't matter who you're facing or what phase the game it is. The run game will develop and will find success at some point. And that's one of the great things about this team. And even with the run game finding success, you're still having Bethel Thompson, who, although no touchdowns, is going to throw for 279 yards regardless and is going to continue to be the best quarterback in this league. So, beautiful week. Loved this week. A lot of great games. Some movement here and there with some of the teams. I hope you agree. If not, let me know in the comments. Do you think that some of these takes were kind of stupid? Do you think that some of these takes were absolute dubs? Let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. I didn't mean to make that a song, but it kind of just happened. Thank you everybody for watching. Shout out Owen for editing. Thank you for what you did last week. I don't know if you have it in you to do anything this week. Maybe we'll give a little thumbs up. A little Owen thumbs up for the people. Besides that, we're all set here. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week.